Hi you guys. So we're down in gorgeous Mexico. We've rented the same house we rented last year, so it's got a little bit of a backyard. But as you can see, there's no real garden here, and it's all sand or rock here. So of course I can't help myself. I'm already looking at ways that I can get my hands dirty, so I thought I would play around with several different types of wicking pots. A wicking pot is based on the same kind of a concept as an oil lamp. You have a base at the bottom with oil, or in this case water. On the top you have a wick, and it soaks up the oil, you light it and you get light. But in this case we're using water and soil. Some people literally use cloth as a kind of a wick, but let me explain. So this is the system I've started out using, and this is all found material except for the seeds and the dirt. Everything I'm using I've just found while out walking, including these pots. So I have a pot that I've just put some rocks in. If I had extra plastic, I would line this with plastic. Then I would take this and fill it with dirt. Before I filled it with dirt, though, the rocks are underneath here. I have been composting. So this is some ground coffee filter, a little bit of cucumber, and some eggshells. So now I'll top it with dirt. So I've got that topped up. And remember, in our pretend scenario here, this is lined with plastic, right? The rocks are off the bottom. So when I put the plastic in and I put water in down here, the water can fill in these extra spaces but not come out the bottom. I want it stagnant water. And then I'll take this and put it in here, right? It's like putting a container into a tray. And so I've got my own tray here. Since I don't have plastic, I'm going to fool around with a couple different wicking methods today, but here's one in action. So I've got this plant. It actually has spinach in it, and you can see the water that we have in here, right? And this one is dripping, drip, drip, drip. But that's what we want. The plant hopefully will take up the water it wants and just save the rest of the water for future needs. Now, this is planted 2 days ago. It's been 75 each day that we've been here, so I would have expected this to get kind of dry by now. If I just had the pot on the ground, it would, so I'd have to water that in. But we're trying this method, and we're going to see how it goes. And like I said, I've got a couple other ideas, so I'm going to take this over. This is spinach, so I'm kind of keeping it in the shade. So I've got three other. This one's getting a little dry, so keep our eye on that, see how that's going. And then over here I have onion that wants a little bit more sun, but you can see the sun is coming this way. But again, it's the same concept. Water in there, and it will wick up the water. So let's look at a couple other ideas I have. One is the very simplest wicking concept there is. Alright, so over here is a super easy wick system, and you've probably done this. You just didn't know what it was called. I've got my pots here. I've got some hot Thai peppers, and I've got some of those large cherries. They want full sun, right? So we got them out here in the sun. But I just have them in a plastic container. We bought some croissants from Costco. They came in this container, so I've got one was the top, one was the bottom. I'm going to reuse those. I put some rocks in here, and that's simply because I want to attract bees. I want to attract some pollinators, so we're going to go ahead and fill this up and just give them a place to perch so they can have some water, which is not abundant around here. And I am going to top that off, but first I've planted these pots with the seeds, but they're not going to start wicking immediately, right? So I need to water both from the top and the bottom for now. We'll do this, and then I'm sure I'll have some floater seeds because I'm not being too gentle here. I'm losing some of my soil too, but you get the idea, right? So we'll fill this up. Now really, I should have a plastic over the top of this and not worry so much about the pollinators because I don't want mosquitoes, so I'm taking a chance with that. But if the mosquitoes arrive in mass, we'll rethink this one. Also, this is going to be in the sun most of the day, which the plants like, but we'll see how the water does. Alright, so we'll let that kind of seep around and come back and check on it, but let's go to the third wicking option that we're going to play around with and see what that looks like. Alright, so you guys might be familiar with something like that, and you may even be familiar with cutting it in half and putting something upside down in here, and people use it as like a bee catcher or a wasp catcher. You fill the bottom with sugar water. You keep the top up a little higher, but the bee or wasp flies in through the neck into this. They can't get out because they can't get out through these spaces. But they still can get in, so that would be higher, but they still can get in. So that's a homemade wasp catcher, but in this case we're going to use the bottom, and why this is lower is the water reservoir, and the top with that pour spout I'm just going to put in, let's see, we're just going to find a couple rocks. Again, we don't want the dirt directly on the water. The rocks in there, get all the weeds out. And yeah, looks good. And then we'll fill it up with dirt. Alright, so I did manage to slide in some composting material, some eggshell in there, and some coffee ground material. So we'll plant this up, put water in here, set this in here, and see if the water will wick up naturally that way. Alright, so just so you can see this one, I've planted it up and I've got the water in there, and this sitting here, I put some more hot peppers in there for some full sun. Now I'm going to make a partner of this one, but I'm trying to grow radishes and cucumbers, and they are cooler weather plants, right? So what I'm going to do is put them somewhere where the day gets mostly shade. I think I'm going to move the spinach with it too, and I think I'm going to put them in this area here because it tends to be pretty shady all day, or back on this little grassy patch, maybe over there. I'll need to keep an eye out and just see what it looks like throughout the day. I can't remember how the sun tracks here, but I'm going to go ahead and plant up that other one. You know what you're doing with that, so you don't need to watch me, probably. And as I get more of these containers, I'll add to this kind of a system. We've got a bunch of 2-liter soda pop bottles upstairs, but they still have soda in them, so once those are empty, and I'll continue to add to the system, and we'll just kind of look at these and see what happens, right? Let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you later.